Hey everybody, it's Diandra Marie, and this is a series I'm calling Imposter Syndrome, where I sit down with a very dope creative that I know to get their insight to help me combat my imposter syndrome, because we all need this community, we all need insight from each other. And so I'm very happy that I'm sitting with my friend Fresco.
Yeah, and my friend Diandra.
See, we about to be birds. Right. So just so people have an idea of who you are, let us know who Fresco is.
Commercial photographer who also dabbles a little bit in video, dabbles a little bit in music, and a few other things, but a lot of creative processes. I'm an entrepreneur with my business, and just like to have fun. I mean, that's the whole kind of point, right? It's like,
yeah, and I think that's like when we connected, it wasn't on a business level, but it's always been a vibe. It's always been fun. And I think that has been what helped inspire me to continue to create content and get back into creating content, So talk to me a little bit about that. Yes, being a creative, especially when you have your own business and you have to pay bills.
Right.
Yeah, like it can kind of take the fun out of the journey, the process, the art of it. So talk to me about just having fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, so I feel like fun is sort of the center, the centering element of why we should do anything that we do, and you shouldn't just do it for fun. There should be purpose, there should be meaning, but the things that keep you motivated, the things that keep you engaged, that has to be like the central aspect of everything that you do,
Right.
So in terms of like keeping myself motivated, even because, tax season was just here, and and also if you do have your own business, especially as a creative, make sure you're doing your quarterlies, so especially in those moments where you have to kind of put on your more rigid thinking cap, you always have to keep in mind why you're doing those things, why they're important to you. Because that's going to be the main motivating factor in those, trudging through those activities that are just like, oh, why am I doing this? I hate this,
Right.
Especially for those entrepreneurs that are just starting out, those Artpreneurs, as some people have coined it, right? If you're just starting out, you very likely don't have money for for an accountant, right?
Right.
So you got to know how to get your receipts together, your spreadsheets. And again, none of us want to do that.
Right.
What I
Right.
mean? So
As creatives, I think some of us shy away from the corporate world. Shout out to my corporate creatives though. But some of us shy away from the corporate world simply because, it's our side of the brain that isn't connected to creativity. You know what I'm saying? We were talking earlier about not always having it all together. Learning as we go, especially neither of us went to school for, videography or photography. So how do you find fun in those moments of frustration where you may not know something?
Well, again, it's bring yourself back to that central reason, and so fun is a part of it, but purpose is another part of it. So when you are so certain of why you're doing the thing, you're no longer, maybe not no longer, but it's harder to feel apprehensive about doing something, especially when you have a reason to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for example, if you're a creative and somebody comes to you with a project and you hate everything about that project, especially since art is such a personal thing, and you hate everything about that project, you don't want to put yourself into that thing. It's going to be really hard to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I'm like, yeah.
So you have to have that reason, and again, especially as an artist, having that reason is important because it keeps you guided, it keeps you centered, and again, if you're doing those activities that aren't creative, they're not the reason why you started doing it in the first place, it's going to feel like walking through mud.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to worse, quicksand, like you're just drowning in it,
Yeah.
And, we're artists, right? So the feeling that we have about things is sometimes can guide pretty much our whole perspective for the day. And you don't want to bring that into our project either.
I love that. So how do you keep your energy up? How do you keep it clear enough to create? And kind of leading into the question of what keeps you motivated, what keeps you going. You know, this is not your first year as a professional photographer. You've been doing this for years. So how do you keep steady and keep going even in the face of adversity and hurdles?
Yeah. You know, at first it was curiosity. You know, even doing these projects that, you know, to the point of even the last question, doing these projects where you really kind of don't always know what you're doing. And that's part of it, is like there's an adventure element, you know, so like, you know, I just did this time lapse that we were talking about, and it was adventurous to me and exciting to me because it was doing it by a hospital. It was doing it for clients who I've never done that particular kind of project with. So it was exciting. It's like this adventure. It's like, oh, like, let's see how this one goes, you know? And so I try and use the excitement to continue to motivate me. You know, if there's even the smallest thing to be excited about, I hone in on that and just focus just on that. And then the creativity comes out, because my mind tends to kind of wander and go to all different types of places. So if I have like one thing that I can just anchor on and just flow after that, I'm almost like, I've done it so many times that I'm certain that it'll happen now. Like it's consistently going to happen because I know it's happened X amount of times before. You know, the percentage is so high.
It's like taking that step of faith, even though it's a new project, but you've been here before. So I know I can take that step. I feel confident in taking that step. Yeah,
and confidence in the unknown, actually. You know, the confidence in being so sure that even though you don't know what's going to happen or you don't know what it's going to look like yet, you know, obviously preparation is important, but knowing that you've been in spaces that you didn't know what they were multiple times before, and just knowing and trusting, having faith, like you said, that it's going to be fine and you will figure that out because you as the artist have the answer. That's why they're hiring you. You always come up with the answer.
I like that. So it's like, it's like no matter what room you're in, it's something I try to keep in mind is, if I'm there, I deserve to be there. So I don't need to question myself. I don't need to, you know, do anything different in terms of just the energy that I bring. But I got to trust that I'm here for a reason and I can execute, you know?
Yeah. And actually, if I could sort of piggyback on that too, I think another thing to remember is how many other people say they want to do the things that we do and then don't. I think the hardest decision to make, the scariest decision to make, is to just start. Once you've started, that was the hardest thing. You already did it. You did the hardest thing. So everything else, even though it's hard and it's challenging and it can be scary, it wasn't the hardest thing after that.
And I received that. So I do want to thank you for being a part of my like restarting journey and getting back into creating content. Like this is one, we did a skit. We're going to see how that comes out.
And we're going to see, right?
We're going to see, but we did it. So thank you so much for sitting down with me, Fresco. You know, I always appreciate you. For the people who are looking, you know, just to follow you, keep up with you, even book you, how can they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Instagram at WakeUpFresco, and there's no underscores, no dashes, so at WakeUpFresco. You can also check out my websites. I have two. They serve different purposes. Fresco Arts, ARTST.com, and then photographybyfresco.com. Reach out. I mean, all the information's there.
Absolutely. So make sure you keep up with Fresco, follow him, book him and me. Well, if you book him, he might book me. He might bring me with you. So book either of us and we will bring each other. Okay?
Book me, you're getting Diandra.
Right.
Book Diandra, you won't with me.
Exactly. So thank you so much for sitting down with me. Thank you for helping me combat my imposter syndrome. And until next time, stay up.